Hi, this is Eric Slew from ntpro.nl, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can boot your ESX 4.1 iServer from an iSCSI target and using PXE. So eventually it's a stateless boot of an ESX iServer. So the first thing you have to do is fire up VMware Workstation and create a new virtual machine, and in this virtual machine you will be installing ESXi 4.1, so it's not real hard. You just download the installable version from the VMware website and install it in a virtual machine with Workstation. So when you are going to install this virtual machine in Workstation, you can pick an OS. Just pick the ESX 4 OS and then you will be fine. The nice thing about ESXi 4.1 is that it is running on 2 GB again. So the earlier versions needed 3 GB, but 4.1 is running on 2 GB again. So that's nice for your test environment if you are running your test environment on Workstation. So the vmdk file of this virtual machine is very important, and in this example I have a folder on my local hard disk, and the folder contains virtual machines demo, and this vmdk file is the vmdk file which will be used as the base image for my future ESXi servers. So I've copied this vmdk file to my staging server, and my staging server is already running in my vSphere environment. It's called CCBoot, and the CCBoot server is connected to a little deployment network, so there's only one network adapter available. It's attached to the deploy virtual machine port group, and if I'm going to my network configuration, you will see that only one virtual machine is connected. It's called CCBoot, and it's on an internal only switch. So this CCBoot server is a Windows machine, and I have installed the CCBoot utility on it. It's a 3 MB utility which can be downloaded at ccboot.com. And what I also did is that I've copied the vmdk file that was created by VMware Workstation with ESXi in it. I've copied it to this machine. So when setting up CCBoot, you can put in some options. CCBoot contains a dhcp server. It contains a TFTP server for the boot image. You can give it an IP address, and you can also put in the range that will be with IP addresses that will be handed out when someone is asking for a dhcp offer. There are some client settings. You can put in the IP address where your iSCSI server is running, but CCBoot also contains an iSCSI server. You can put in a write back path, and you have to select a disk group, and the disk group is very important because the disk group is the vmdk file which was created by VMware Workstation. So this disk group will be connected to hosts that are asking for an IP address. You can adjust some cache settings. There are some other settings. You see right here, iSCSI is running on the CCBoot server. It's also part of the CCBoot software. So everything is okay. It's completely set up. One thing you have to do is when you are creating a network configuration and you are creating your deployment network, always put in promiscuous mode at the security settings. So put in promiscuous mode, otherwise your ESX host is not possible to communicate to the outside world. So in this demo I'm going to add a new virtual machine. This will be my ESXi server. It can be a physical machine, but for this demo it will be a virtual machine. So I'm choosing a custom virtual machine, and I'm calling it ESXi 4.1. Okay. It doesn't need storage, but I still have to select it. Virtual machine version 7. Okay, so when you are selecting the guest OS, you should choose other Linux 46-bit, 2 CPUs, 2 gigabytes should be enough. Let's give it 4, but 2 should be enough. Okay, it will be attached to the deployment network. I can add an additional adapter, so I'm also able to control it from my production network. Logical parallel, we don't create a disk, it's a stateless ESXi server, so we don't need a hard disk for this virtual machine. And then we are ready to go. So the ESXi container, the ESXi host is created, and the only thing I have to do is power on this host. So let's use the VM client for powering on the ESXi host. And let's see if it's picking up dhcp. I can close VMware workstation. So the VM client is a cool utility. You can log on to your virtual center server or your ESX host, and then you can control your virtual machines. Where is my newly created ESXi server? Right here. It's powered off, so let's power it on and see what happens. It's already picking up the dhcp offer, and you see that ESXi is loading. Quite cool. So there's no disk attached to this virtual machine, no vmdk file. The vmdk file is hosted at my CCBoot server, and the VMware hypervisor, which is the new name of ESXi, is completely loaded through iSCSI from the CCBoot host. So let's do a quick check on the CCBoot host right here, see what happened. So we see that the CCBoot host detected the newly created virtual machine in the deployment network. It handed out an address, address 10, the first one in the range for handing out. We see that it's reading data from the vmdk file, which was created by VMware Workstation, and the MAC address is ending on 0B. So let's check if the MAC address is really detected, the right MAC address. Edit settings, yeah, there it is. So 0B, so this is the same MAC address. Okay, cool. Can we adjust settings? Yes, we can. So you see a computer name, you can change it. You see the IP address, you see the PXE drive right here, which is used to download the iSCSI image. We see that a disk group is configured, and when you have multiple ESXi servers running stateless, then you also can create multiple vmdk files. So I'm still doing some experiments with writing back data, but I didn't really succeed in writing back data. So this is okay. We see another address appearing right here. This is the address of the virtual adapter of our ESX server. So the first address is the dhcp offer, and the second address is the virtual adapter. So let's check if the virtual machine already is fully up and running. Okay, it's nearly up and running, and you'll see that the last part, CBT, has loaded successfully. It can take some time before it's running, but within 1 or 2 minutes you will have your ESXi server up and running. So another thing I noticed is that when you create a virtual machine and you're running ESX on top of ESX, in the old days you had to add an additional setting, restrict backdoor, and you had to disable this, or you had to enable the detect backdoor setting, but I don't see any warnings right here, so it's possible to run an ESX host on an ESX host without doing additional changes to the VMX file or the advanced settings. So let's wait until this virtual machine is fully up and running with ESXi, and check if we actually can get access to the machine. The CCBoot software can be freely downloaded at CCBoot.com, and yeah, it's not real big. It's only 3 megabytes, and when you put in the right options, I already showed you, start TFTP, start dhcp. You can also create your own dhcp server, but you have to configure a boot host, and when you put in the right settings, it will work right away. Only multi-home servers can be a bit difficult because you have to configure the listener address, otherwise your host will not pick up the iSCSI server. So let's check if the ESXi server is already up and running. There it is. So what we see here is that it got a dhcp address from the CCBoot host, but I want to use a dhcp address within my production environment. So we are going to customize the system, and we are going to change the management network. The network adapters that will be used for management is vmdk1. Okay. This is okay. Do you want to apply the changes to the management network? Yes, I want to apply the changes. So you see that a new IP address is assigned to my ESXi host, and let's see if we actually can log on to my newly created ESXi host 192.168.178.107. So the default installation is root without a password. You have to set a password eventually, and it looks okay. There it is. It's a trial version. Okay, cool. So when we are going to look at the configuration, you will see that there is one VM NIC available on my newly created switch with the management network on it. I think I have 2 NICs available. Yeah, there's the other one. But that's the NIC that is running in the deployment network. It's used for booting the ESX host. There's no storage. When you want to add a vmdk file to this virtual machine, you can actually create some local VMFS storage, but you can also use iSCSI or NFS or whatever you want. So these are the steps you have to take to create a stateless ESXi server. So the first thing you do is fire up workstation. Then workstation will create a new virtual machine, and the vmdk file of this newly created virtual machine must be copied to your deployment server. The deployment server can be any flavor of Windows, whatever you want, and the deployment server needs the CCBoot software. And when you put in the settings and you attach the vmdk file to the machines that are asking for an IP address, the virtual machine will be booted from the vmdk file hosted at your CCBoot server. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for viewing, and see you back next time, and good luck with your stateless ESXi.